Bledsoe was arrested.
Patrick Montgomery was in court.
Jonathan Manapa will stay in federal custody.
No, I don't take responsibility at all.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. 32-year-old Illinois resident Karol Chwiesiuk, I think is how you pronounce the name. He traveled to D.C. with his sister, Agnieszka. She goes by Agnes, so we'll just call her Agnes. And at the time of the Capitol attack, Karol was a Chicago police officer. He was on medical leave at the time because of a back injury. And since then, he's been placed on unpaid leave as a direct result of what he did at the Capitol. So on January 3rd of 2021, he texted his cousin to say that he was going to D.C. on the 6th to, quote, save the nation and, quote, I'm fuck up some commies. So Karol's cousin tried to share evidence with him, good luck, to try to prove to him that Donald Trump was lying about the election being stolen. As you would expect, Karol replied, quote, didn't read, busy planning how to fuck up commies. Anyway, on January 5th, he received several texts from his sister, and it was regarding all of the events that were going to be held on the 5th and the 6th of January. So one noted that there was going to be a protest on the U.S. Capitol South lawn. And the night before the Capitol attack, Karol walked around D.C. and he was taking pictures. And some of his photos included shots of the Capitol in the background, also the fencing that was around the property, and there were area closed signs that were clearly visible in his photos. So the following day, Karol and his sister attended Donald Trump's speech, then they headed to the Capitol as planned. Karol texted his friends and some of his colleagues throughout the day, and he said things like, quote, we have to Kurwa save America. And, quote, he's leading us to the fucking Capitol. So Kurwa, by the way, they mentioned this. I didn't know this. I'm not so smart that I knew this. This was in the sentencing memo. It mentioned that Kurwa is the Polish word that can be used in the place of fuck or fucking. So it's just, a curse word. So Karol and his sister witnessed others in tactical gear. They saw that the Capitol windows had been shattered. They definitely heard alarms blaring. And at one point, Karol texted other people and he said, quote, they stole a lift. So he was referring to Trump supporters who got on one of those window washing lifts and they hoisted themselves up to the second story of the building. Sometime after that, Karol and his sister were seen on surveillance video illegally entering the Capitol, and he texted other people again, and he said, quote, going in. And then in a video that Karol recorded of their entry, you could hear alarms. Clearly, you could hear the alarms blaring in the back, and the mob was chanting, fight for Trump. So they headed to the Capitol crypt. Karol briefly entered an office for Senator Jeff Merkley, although his sister did not. While he was inside, in the Capitol, not in the office, he texted, quote, we are Kurwa inside. And then after approximately 9 minutes, Karol and his sister exited the building through a broken window. Because, when you're a tourist, you always exit through a broken window. Later that night, Karol sent another text and he said, quote, it was epic, super fun. The optics are bad, but fuck it at this point, And then he texted another person and said, quote, I was trying to steal a fucking flag, but they took them all. And at some point, Karol texted his cousin and he said, quote, knocked out a commie last night. Don't tell Agnes. There is no evidence to show that he actually knocked anyone out, that he got physical with anyone. So you got another wannabe tough guy here. So anyway, on January 13th, Karol texted back and forth with his cousin again, and he told him, quote, don't snitch. And then, quote, as to the Department of Justice knowing who was there, I don't care, LMAO. And, quote, I maintain that Donald J. Trump is the legitimate president of the United States. Enjoy communism for 4 years. Guarantee he wouldn't know what that word meant. Guarantee he could not give you a complete description and a definition of what communism means. But, he heard it somewhere. Bah. So Karol was arrested on June 11th of 2021. He was charged with entering a restricted building or grounds, entering certain rooms in the Capitol, 2 counts of disorderly conduct, and parading or demonstrating in a Capitol. The prosecutors said that when they seized Karol's device, it appeared that it had been purposely damaged. They said it wouldn't turn on. They had to perform extra steps to try to get the data off of it. And Karol refused a plea deal. He opted instead for a jury trial. And in August of 2023, he was found guilty on all counts with the exception of entering certain rooms in the Capitol. The government says that Karol repeatedly misled the jury and that he downplayed his actions during the trial. And Karol was trying to tell them, oh, I didn't hear alarms blaring. I remember I said in his own video that he took as they were entering, you could hear the alarms. And then most notably, he said that he had no idea what was supposed to happen at the Capitol on January 6th. He had no idea, despite his sister sending him all kinds of text messages with all of these online posters that specifically said, we're going to go march to the Capitol. We're going to go take the Capitol. We're going to go disrupt the joint session of Congress. We're going to go fight for Trump. Had no idea. And then when he arrived, Karol claimed, oh, I saw nothing to indicate that anything bad was going on. I mean, there was just no warning. The tear gas in the air, the police fighting with people. When I'm a cop myself, alarms, people breaking doors and windows. Didn't notice any of that. So either he's lying or he is the least astute officer, the least astute police officer in the entire world. Anyway, based on the guilty verdicts and the most serious of the misdemeanors, Karol faced up to 1 year in prison, 1 year of probation, and $100,000 in fines. And this time, the government requested the full 1 year. They also asked for the full 1 year of probation, and then they asked for 60 hours of community service and only $500 in restitution. So U.S. District Judge Anna Reyes presided over Karol's case, and she unloaded on him and his sister at the sentencing hearing. Judge Reyes said, quote, "You're of Polish descent. You know what happened to the people of Poland during the time of Hitler and Stalin during World War II. That's what happens when democratic guardrails fail. That's what happens when democracies fail." And then she went on to say that the founding fathers would be, quote, appalled because the January 6 defendants, including him, keep trying to compare themselves to the founders. And then the judge also said, quote, "I just find it unbelievable that you two didn't know you shouldn't be in the Capitol." And then she also said that although she couldn't convince them that the election wasn't stolen, Judge Reyes said there was, quote, "no widespread fraud, and 60 plus courts across the country have ruled that." Unfortunately, her rhetoric didn't match the sentencing. I wish she was as strong in her sentencing. Chwiesiuk was sentenced to only 90 days of home confinement, 3 years of probation, and $500 in restitution. So no prison time, no jail whatsoever. A ridiculously weak sentence, especially since he wasted the court's time with a jury trial. And then he still hasn't taken any responsibilities for his crimes. And he proved that because when he left the courthouse, Karol told reporter Scott McFarlane that he still supports the apricot Antichrist. McFarlane asked him, do you still support Trump after all this? And he said, quote, "in a big way." So this judge blew it. And the fact that he was a cop, too. I think that should have given him prison time above all else. The fact that he knew that police officers were being abused, police officers were being beaten and tasered and everything else I mean, maybe he didn't know in that moment, but he sure as hell knew after the fact, and he still had no remorse about it, and he still has none to this day. So, should have been in prison. This one pisses me off too. Anyway, I will let you all know when or if I hear more. Guarantee this guy will be back at it. If Trump loses again, this guy's going to throw another temper tantrum. All right, I'll let you know. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Please like this video, share it, become a subscriber if you have not, become a donor if you possibly can. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.